to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright. Just a reminder to silence your cell phones. We'll start with roll call.
Mayor Sherman.
Here.
Councilor Basil.
Here.
Councilor Burrell. Councilor Lundstrom.
Here.
Councilor Scalisi.
Here.
Councilor Spradlin.
Here.
Councilor Tyree.
Here.
We've all had a chance to look through the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or corrections on the agenda? Not, I'd look for a motion to approve.
I move we approve the agenda of regular meeting June 24th, 2024. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Tyree.
Yes.
Councilor Scalisi.
Yes.
Councilor Basil.
Yes.
Councilor Spradlin.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. That motion passes. We've all had a chance to look through the minutes of our last meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or revisions? If not, I would look for a motion to approve those.
I move we approve the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilor Tyree.
Yes.
Councilor Spradlin.
Yes.
Councilor Basil.
Yes.
Councilor Scalisi.
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. All right, that motion passes. We'll move on to visitors and delegations. First off, we have someone for a presentation with young people in recovery.
Hi, my name is Ryan Speltz. I am the chapter lead and program coordinator for Young People in Recovery. It is a new chapter we started in Morgan to help those in recovery. But to tell you a little bit more about that, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I am now a 3-year recovering meth addict of a 16-year addiction. I lost my kids for 8 years. I finally got them back 2 years ago. I am working extremely hard to help kids in ways that I was never helped as a child, for reasons that I've started my addiction at 15. And so when this got handed to me, I felt that Morgan County really needed this support, especially with our kids. Right now, juveniles and high schoolers have really been focusing on, we just need to get high, we just need something to make it all go away. My job is to now teach them the life skills they need and give them the support and advocacy that they need to show them that the world is bigger than just addiction. It is no longer addiction needed. It's now recovery based. It's not something that we need to be happy about. It's something that we need to be enjoying ourselves with recovery. My job is to teach these kids every 6 weeks. I have a group going on. Actually, right now I have 8 in my group as of we speak. And we're teaching them the life skills, how to do education, if they are out of school, how to get back in, what schools they need to get help with. We're teaching them how to do resumes, mock interviews, if they need help with clothing, taking them to get the clothes they need for them. My job is just to show them the world is bigger than addiction. It's bigger than what we perceive it as. And that if we all come together as a community, that our kids will actually be able to prosper that and live the rest of their lives knowing that they stepped away from the substance and did it on their own. I actually have 3 kids I'm working with right now that are in the juvenile system that juvenile probation has sent over to me. And all 3 of them, since we've started groups, have all told me that they feel change. They feel different. They are now more sociable with their parents. They are more happy. They are getting more new groups of friends. 2 of them told me that they haven't ditched school in almost 3 weeks. And for me, that's a huge accomplishment, especially for kids. Now that we're in summertime, knowing that the last 3 weeks of school they didn't ditch, like, that's a big thing for me to be able to share that with you guys. Because for kids, that's all it was about in school. Ditching and then having a story about it later. Where now their story is staying in school and what did they do in school that day? What was the last week actually about? And actually hearing these stories and seeing these kids light up when they're telling it, it's just a joy in itself. So my biggest goal with this program is to show kids and our youth, but up to adults, that our world and our community is bigger than trash. It's bigger than fentanyl. It's bigger than meth. It's bigger than any addiction out there, alcohol. Just show them that we can live in a society and we don't need that stuff. To show them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, even if they don't see it at the moment. I actually just sat in detox last week with a girl she's 24 and had a really bad alcohol addiction. And today I'm proud to say that she checked herself into rehab. On her own choice, to show her that life's bigger than that. I will be doing a lot of community events. This Thursday I will be doing a kickball game with the kids, but all community members are invited. Just to show them that we can have fun. Morgan County is not boring. A lot of kids will go, well, what do? We make our own fun. Kickball games to baseball games, we'll be doing volleyball. We will be doing a lot of outreach with the kids to show them that it is fun. Our county is not just old people, that you can actually have fun as a child in it. And that is my biggest goal right now, is just to show them that Morgan County is more than just substances. If you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Where do we find out where the locations of the games and stuff are? Do you have a Facebook
I have
page?
flyers that go around
Flyers?
that I will be posting up here in the next couple of days, kind of like those.
Okay.
Facebook, the Morgan County Bulletin Board,
Okay.
that's where I usually post them right away, because I get them emailed to me. That's probably the best place, and then I go around and I just hang flyers up everywhere.
Gotcha. Okay.
But everybody's welcome. If you guys ever want to stop by to one of the meetings and see how the kids are doing, you're more than welcome. I would actually appreciate it, and show a lot of, the support to the kids that we are not just sitting here wasting our time in these meetings, that are actually making a difference.
And that's at 815 West Platte?
Yes, sir.
In Morgan?
Yes, sir.
Do you guys have a Facebook page or website or
I
something?
do. I do have a Facebook page that I'm currently running as well. And it's just Morgan County Young People in Recovery. My biggest thing right now is I'm going to work with kids from 14 to 18. But on Fridays, I do all recovery meetings that are not NA or AA based. They're not religious based for the people that are, so religious. But we still talk about a higher power. It's more just, for kids to go hang out and vent. Get off, they had a bad week. Well, tell me about it. You having a hard time at home? Well, let's see how we can fix it. I will be working with probation, courts, anybody who's referred or just wants to walk in the door and say, hey, I need help. I work with parents. I am great with communicating with them. Hey, this is what's going on with your kid. This is what we need to do. How can we fix this as a team? And to show them that they're not alone. That they do have somebody to stand right there beside them and advocate for them in ways that they don't know how.
You said you're part of the Morgan County chapter. How many chapters are there?
There are 10 in Colorado.
Cool.
There are nationwide, there are over 75 that I'm aware of. Most of them are in Kentucky and Texas area.
Okay.
But I know as of Colorado alone, we have 10. And we're hoping to send more towards like the Sterling area and get more out there.
Right.
But for right now, we're focusing on Morgan County from Wiggins to us.
Right.
So we're just trying to get the word out there that it's more.
That's awesome. It really is.
Is it all outpatient counseling, or do you have any inpatient beds or anything like that?
Well, it's all outpatient.
Mhm.
I can help with getting people into inpatient bedding. As long as ROIs are signed and I can be with probation, then my opinion does go in there. But as for anything else, it's just more outpatient. It's for kids, just walk through my door and go, hey, I've had a hard day. And I'll go, okay, well, how do we talk about it? They have my cell phone number at any time. No matter day or night, they call me. I actually had one kid the other day, scared to relapse, called me at 2 a.m.
Oh.
And I sat up and talked to him through it. And then the next day I went to his house and bought him lunch. And we talked with his parents on how can we get him the extra help.
Okay.
So I'm there no matter 24/7, 7 days a week for these kids, adults as well. I will be meeting with parole and probation again. I will be starting an adult group in September. So that right now we're just focusing on youth, but adults also need help too, so I don't want to leave them out as well. So I will be doing an adult group in September, but for now we're just focusing on getting the kids group started.
You said it's Morgan County Young People in Recovery?
Yes.
Is this all people that are referred from probation, or?
It's, right now,
Just
my kids
anybody?
that I have coming in are just people that came in off the street. I had one girl that I was in addiction with who's voluntarily helping me now for 2 years in recovery. And so we both take turns on who's going to run what meeting. Last week we talked about boundaries and holistic health, like what foods you shouldn't eat before bed, how much screen time should you have. The little things that really do make a big difference. And that is something we are teaching them. Next Monday's group will be like education, teaching them how to do resumes, mock interviews, making cover letters, and doing it all by hand so that they can get it hand to thought. And that right now is just our biggest goal. Is showing them that when they step out, there's a bigger world.
How are you funded? Do you
We
have
are a
funding?
grant.
Okay,
We're grant funded right now.
very cool.
Yes, it is amazing. Our grant lasts a year, but we have another one coming into place in the next couple months to go another year
Gotcha.
as soon as we are done. This is something Morgan County's definitely needed, and I wish was around when I was younger, because it probably would have steered me another direction that I didn't go. I can show kids, I'm actually working with Sheriff Dave Martin right now to get all of my mug shots together to show the kids that this is life with drugs and this is life without it. That's going to be a project that we do as well, before and after. And then even when the 6-week class is done, all recovery meetings are Friday no matter what. And the kids are always welcome to come to all the events, still attend them. If they want to retake the class again, they can. It's up to them and how they feel that they need to be pushed a little bit more. We have a couple of them that are pretty cut off and very silent. And with them, we handle them differently. We're like, hey, do you need some one-on-one? Do we have to meet on a certain day? And talk about it. And a lot of them, will let me know, and then we'll make a day for them. I try to go out there and we try to do workshops and pro socials at least once a month. I will be doing a Narcan certification for the community here in the next month, so I can teach as many community members how to distribute Narcan the proper way in case somebody is ODing in front of them and they need, instead of just waiting for 911 to get there. So I will be also distributing that to kids and working with the schools so I can do that same presentation with the schools as soon as it starts, so that the kids, especially high school kids, are very aware that if that's happening in the bathroom, that's how we fix it. I will be making little Narcan keychains for the kids to keep on their backpacks as well. Just because that is something that nowadays that we do need to have at all times. As sad as it is to say, it is something that I'd rather a kid call me and go, hey, I just saved a life, than I was scared to call 911. And so that's something that I've been pushing towards them as well. After I do the Narcan training, I will be doing a CPR training with them as well. So that, in that small time that we're waiting for 911 to get there, they feel very proud that, hey, they saved that life. They brought him back. Because they never know if that's going to be their mom or dad, sister, brother. Because some kids don't even use or just in there because of their parents. And how can they help them? So it's just something that our community's definitely needed. And the support would be very much needed as well.
Are you looking for volunteers?
Yes, anybody who wants to volunteer and help, everybody's more than welcome on our webpage. It also says you can submit a form with what chapter, which would be the Morgan County chapter, to volunteer to do barbecues, pro socials, workshops, and be involved as much as you can. Like I said, like every event going on, it's community based. It doesn't cost any money. It is all free, and it's all open to the community at any time.
So you probably take donations as well.
Yes, ma'am. It's on the website page. Yes, and all donations will go straight to our cause. Yes. Like tonight, since I had to come to the meeting, I have a banner that I will be setting up at any events, but I'm having the kids decorate it. I'm having them put their drawings on it to show, hey, we're involved and this is what's going on. Instead of just a plain white banner, I want the kids to get involved and show everybody that, hey, this is working for them. And so we're very, very supported in all of that.
Very good. It sounds like you're doing great work.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions? I appreciate your time tonight.
ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very
Very
much.
nice
Thank you.
presentation, and we definitely appreciate what you're doing, and best of luck to you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
All right. Citizen comments. Is anybody here for citizen comments? Citizens are invited to speak to council on any item that does not have a public hearing scheduled. There's a 5-minute time limit unless otherwise noted by the mayor. Please note, no formal action can be taken on an item that is not posted on the agenda due to the open meetings law provision. However, they may be placed on a future posted agenda if action is required. To better assist you with questions, you can submit them in writing to the city clerk and someone from staff will respond. So we have anybody from city go ahead and, if you can come up to the podium and state your name.
My name's Earl Fogler, Fogler. So I'm the newly board member of the Brush Museum Board.
Okay.
So one of the things we were talking about is we were trying to figure out in Fort Morgan, when you drive in Fort Morgan, they have a museum sign on the freeway. You know, saying there's a museum.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sort of talking about trying to get one for Brush. And so I'm just sort of throwing out, does anyone know maybe how to approach that or who to approach for that?
Would that be
Oh, sure.
We can look into it, but I'm pretty sure CDOT is the one that, that gives us the okays on those. And, but we'll give Dale a little time to look into it and verify that, but I'm pretty sure it's always been CDOT if it's off the interstate somewhere.
Okay. I thought about going to the Fort Morgan Museum and see if I could find somebody there that knew
Yeah.
how they got it put up.
Yeah.
I don't think we want a big one like coming into town, but going from here to there, there's smaller one. So,
I don't know, eventually, if we're gonna have the new stuff being built around 76, we're gonna have one of those little signs that has like the
Different
6 or
restaurants.
7 things that are coming in, maybe that's something that can go there.
Yeah.
If one of those signs ever.
Yeah.
What about putting them on the Welcome to Brush on 34? I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
CDOT's involved in that either, but we've got like the Lions Club out there and Tree City and stuff like that. Maybe there's an opportunity there, I'm not sure.
yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely look into
But you don't
that.
see that one driving down 76. though.
No, you don't. No, you
And
don't.
CDOT's pretty particular about signage on the interstate.
And I believe those are expensive.
Yeah,
Very expensive.
but if it's a nonprofit kind of thing, I
Like-
don't know, we'll
like-
have somebody look into it for
Like we'd
you.
have to pay for it.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing more research, I just didn't know
Mhm.
who to go to.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm surprised it hasn't come up. I'm sure it's probably come up before, but
It's been a lot of years, that's why
Yeah.
I'm a little rusty on it. I didn't want to say for sure, but I'm pretty sure when we looked into it years ago for bigger signage, it was always get with CDOT, and then they have certain rules, regulations on how many different signs you can put up, things like that, sizes.
Okay.
And, but there was always a few roadblocks, I remember. But we'll look into it for sure.
Okay, and I might still go to Fort Morgan.
yeah, see
Talk
what you
to
can
them.
find out from them. Thank you, Earl.
All right.
All right, anybody else? Nope. All right, we'll move on to management. First off, we have a proclamation 2024-8 designating July as Parks and Rec Month, and I will have Councilor Spradlin read this proclamation.
Proclamation number 2024-8, designation of July as Park and Recreation Month. Whereas parks and recreation are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the city of Brush, and whereas parks and recreation promote health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks, and whereas parks and recreation promote time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being, and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. And whereas parks and recreation encourage physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas park and recreation are leading provider of healthy meals, nutrition, services, and education. And whereas park and recreation programming and education activities such as out-of-school time programming, youth sports, and environmental education are critical to childhood development. And whereas parks and recreation increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and recreation are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas parks and recreation are essential to the adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disaster and climate change. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, And whereas the City of Brush recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. There now therefore be it resolved that the City of Brush Council formally declares July as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Brush, Colorado.
Very good. Do you want to talk a little bit?
Just a couple things. I was going to do it in our staff report, but I think this is probably a better time.
Appropriate, yeah.
In July, we actually kick everything off with Parks and Recreation Week, and that's going to be July 8th through the July 13th, and we have a whole bevy of activities during that time. On Monday, July 8th, we have free golf day at the golf course. You can go out there and golf for free. You do stuff to pay for carts, but you're able to go utilize the golf course. We also have 3-on-3 basketball, different basketball competitions, and a wiffle ball tournament at Sunset Park at 10:30 in the morning on the Monday, July 8th. On Tuesday, we offer free swimming to everybody at our swimming pool from 1 to 5:15. On Wednesday, we have a community pancake breakfast at the JC building from 6:30 in the morning to 8:30 in the morning. And then that evening, we have a cornhole tournament at Pettis Park Tennis Courts at 6 o'clock. Thursday is kind of our big event day where we have our mud volleyball at VFW Park at 5:30. And then we also have a band that will be playing in the gazebo from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then on Friday, we will have a outdoor movie on Sunset Baseball Field, and we'll be playing some baseball-themed movie on that night. And then Saturday, we end the week with at Watrous Park with our singles disc golf tournament at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's a full week, it's a fun week. And all the activities are free except for the disc golf tournament on Saturday, and we look forward to everybody coming out and enjoying themselves. So hope to see everybody there. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Leah. All right, so with that, I would look for a motion to approve the proclamation.
I move we approve proclamation number 2024-8, designation of July as Parks and Recreation Month.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Scalise?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Tyree?
Yes.
Counselor Basil?
Yes.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes. All right, motion passes. Move on to finance.
I move we approve disbursements and payroll for June 11th, 2024 through June 24th, 2024, totaling $736,152.85.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Basil?
Yes.
Counselor Scalise?
Yes.
Counselor Tyree?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes. That motion passes. All right, we're on to staff reports. Tyler Purvis, Community Development Director and Assistant Administrator.
All right, good evening, Council. A few items tonight. It's been about 6 weeks, I think, since I've been here, so I'm not going to just dump a lot on you, but just kind of the highlights going on. First off, our Community Development Department, the building department specifically, has been very, very busy. This time of year is when all the construction projects, of course, are going on, given the weather. So it's been a busy year. We have had to date 470 permits issued. Some of those are right-of-way permits as well, but that averages out to about 80 per month, about 20 per week, and so we're continually busy. The revenues that have come in thus far, granted they all don't go directly to us, there are some pass-throughs, but it's a little over $282,000 in fees, different various fees that we've collected so far. But our team is doing a good job. Sue answering the phones and coordinating things, Juan running out and doing all the inspections and educating all of our contractors, and then Patrick and I providing backup when necessary. The Westwood Major Final Plat Subdivision, we've set a date for that. So that is, as of now, planned to come before council roughly a month from now. So July 22nd is when that public hearing has been sent. We sent those notices off to the newspaper, and then the notices will be going out by the end of this week out to all the different residents within 300 feet of that. So that'll be the final line that they have to cross for approval before things are able to go forward over there. So just a heads up on that. The city's website, we've been working not nearly as quickly as we wanted to, just we're so busy, but over the past 9 months or so in revising our website. So July 1st, the state has some requirements to go in for new ADA accessibility for government websites. And so, ready or not, we got to be up by July 1st. That'll be going on live. So it'll be a little bit different formats and new pages and ways that we want to improve the website overall. Some of the content will look exactly the same. Some of it will change over time, but just so you're aware, that'll be available. And one of the pages that are on there and will continue to update is a projects page, where if case community members are curious to know what's happening at different parts of town, they can go to our website, and it'll give descriptions as well as updates on some of the bigger projects that are happening. And then go straight to the source there. Last time that we had a meeting, Monsi was able to cover for me, thank you for that. And you talked about that grant that we had submitted through DOLA, the local planning capacity, and it was tied into bringing a consultant in to help us put together a game plan for different aspects of housing. So I don't have any updates on that yet, but if you weren't aware, by the end of next month, we should know whether or not we were awarded those funds, in case that's curious in the back of your minds. And then lastly, the fiber projects continue to go forward all over town. It's keeping us busy, especially Patrick. He's been the one coordinating and communicating with both Allo and Vero each and every week. There's been issues that do come up, and he's been good being on top of that and getting all the different folks together. We've been coordinating efforts, not just with Allo and Vero, but all their subcontractors, everybody out there digging. XL Energy has gotten involved multiple times, good and bad. Our water team has gotten involved multiple times, good and bad, because a lot of the underground boring, different lines have gotten hit, utility lines, and so that always causes some frustration and headache, and so we've been working on coordinating those and getting everything together as best as we can. So that's the quick summary of things. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I don't know if you guys can do it or not. I saw that it's Central that has a now leasing sign up. Is there a chance that council has a chance to take a tour of that to see what how they're going and how they're moving?
Yeah, absolutely. So the state, the Division of Housing, they have a group that's going to be coming through on Wednesday. And so Dana's actually going to be, the mayor is going to be leading that tour, and Central is going to be on the list at 3 o'clock. And so if you're interested in joining with her.
I imagine you could probably join us at Central at 3 if you're interested.
Cool.
Yeah.
On Wednesday. Yep.
Just sneak in.
I'm not sure if I should have said that while it's live. Maybe I should have said that off.
Yeah, it's probably not open to the public, but
Yeah,
if
exactly.
counselors would like to join, I think that would be okay.
And if
Yeah.
more than 3 are gonna go along, just let Loranda know.
Ah,
Yeah.
What day is it?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Or not more than 3, 3 or more.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll need to know by 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. All right, Brandon Flecksteiner, Chief of Police.
Evening, everyone. Summer's kicked off. Everybody's relatively busy, running around, lots of calls. Summertime brings heat, and heat causes people to act differently. Not really anything major to speak about report-wise, but I just wanted to kind of bring attention. Fireworks stand is up and selling stuff. I know there's some in Fort Morgan. Just want to educate and let people know that fireworks and brush can be lit, but they can't be lit until there's 3 days before the 4th of July. So 1st through the 4th, you can light legal fireworks, fountains, sparklers, etc., but also indicating that there's illegal fireworks or illegal no matter what. So fortunately, it tends to be the funner ones when I was younger, but bottle rockets, black cats, M80s, mortars, and things. The stuff that tends to draw attention are still considered illegal. You still can't light them. There's still no burn issue right now, so as far as I know, fireworks will still be a go up until the 4th of July, but I know there's stuff being lit, and I hear them at night, so we're just also encouraging folks, if you hear things or you see people lighting things, let us know, so at least we can try to nip that stuff in the butt, because I know it tends to cause issues for, late at night, you're trying to go to bed, you hear them. I know animals don't typically like them, so I know it causes a lot of, usually see a big increase in dogs getting out of yards and running away because it startles and scares them. So we're just asking folks, if you do hear things, give us a call, and we'll do what I can to, to identify where they're coming from and hopefully stop them before causing any more issues. Again, short and sweet from me, but if anybody has any questions, concerns, comments.
Great job. Thank you, Chief. Ted Anderson, Fire Chief.
Good evening. We, Brush Fire Department had a very busy week this last week. we were hosting the Colorado State Firefighters Association Fire College. We did have about 55 participants, and we had some great training. We brought in some specialists out of Denver. Chief Dave McGrail was he's a retired chief from Denver, and then we had 7 firefighters that were assisting him. Brush Fire provided the training center, which everybody thought was the greatest thing ever. We did live burns. We did basically from the very beginning, hose deployments, throwing ladders, all of those things working up to Saturday. We had 4 evolutions, full-on evolutions, and we had about 25 firefighters on an event at a time, which most Northeast Colorado firefighters will never see that, but they learned a lot, and they got to experience what it's like to have a lot of people on a scene. And now they can go back and maybe adjust a little bit what they do in their own departments, because they won't see that many people on a scene in their own departments. But it was a great time, and we had one of our firefighters receive a Lifetime Achievement Award, Paul Acosta, and myself, I ended up getting the President's Award.
Congratulations.
So it was fun by all, especially me. I told our guys at the end when we were getting cleaned up, the guys we had in as students, I think there were 4, maybe 5, performed outstanding and got compliments from all the instructors. And then the guys that helped me with the operations, we made a huge impact on some Denver firefighters. They didn't realize really what a gem is out here as far as our fire department. So I was really proud of how they performed. So, and I had to let them know.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
How many did you say were in attendance at the?
55, I think, total. There were some advertising issues, not on our part, on the association's part. So we didn't have a huge turnout, but what we found out, we had a couple students that were in Gunnison last year, and there was 120 students there, and they almost didn't come this year because they didn't get a lot of reps and a lot of attention because there was too many students. And so with the class size this time, and we had, like you said, 7, 8 instructors, they all really got beat up
experience
because they were doing so many repetitions and getting so much hands-on, and they all appreciated that. So it was very successful. So.
Do you find, I'm just curious, when you do those live fire burns, does it draw spectators?
No.
No.
I drove by Saturday and saw it, and the parking lot was full. Looked like you guys were having a blast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
But
can
I
barely
didn't-
see smoke
I
coming out of
didn't-
it.
yeah,
I drove by it,
yeah.
barely.
Yeah.
I guess that I would have to ask what the public thought, because there were times when I would get the lead instructors coming in and they would tell me more smoke, more heat. So we would give them some more smoke and more heat, and we would get the interior of that building to the point where it was so hot it would drop you to your knees, and it was so black that you couldn't see anything.
Wow.
And so it was great. I love that. and the students learned a lot, you know. And so we never got a single complaint about the students, about the smoke, about anything, which I worried about a little bit, but now I'm not going to worry at all about. So
Awesome.
it was fantastic.
That's great.
Very cool.
Memorials.
Oh yeah. So Monday before the event started, we were able to get the medallion set over by the flags. So if you get a chance to stop by and look at it,
It looks
it's
good.
pretty amazing.
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
It looks good. So we still have some pavers to get down that we sold that are specific to the public who bought them, and then we'll move forward, hopefully in selling some more, eventually getting, you know, those 2 sidewalks completely covered. But that was a big goal, was to try and get that memorial done before we had the event, and we were able to get that done. So it's looking good.
Very good.
So, any other questions?
Nope.
All right,
Thank you,
Thank
Ted.
you.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks.
Lance, do you have anything else?
Just a couple more things.
Okay.
First with the golf course, this past weekend and actually today, we hosted the Ebenezer Golf Tournament. That went really well, had a ton of people there in the morning, and I think they had about half that in the afternoon, so there was quite a bit there. I think Ebenezer was really happy with everything, so that went well. On Sunday, we had the over 50, under 50 tournament, and we ended up with I think 24 teams, so that ended up being a pretty good turnout for that too. So everybody seemed to have a good time on Sunday with that. As far as stuff that's upcoming at the golf course, this Friday night we have our second 9 and Dine, and that's kind of a date night. If you wanted to go out there, you go play 9 holes, and then we have a dinner on the deck, and then Dave Henderson comes and plays music on the deck. So that'll be 9 and Dine on Friday, and that starts at 5 o'clock. And then on July 5th, the following Friday, I don't know if you've seen any flyers so far about it, but Kaz Bizdek is going to do a dueling pianos outdoors, hopefully weather permitting, outdoors on the deck. And so we'll see how that goes. He's selling tickets right now on his website, and I don't have that in front of me, but
Are they on
able to-
Eventbrite? I
What's-
hope so, because otherwise I got scammed.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
So that should be great, and we actually, the course sponsored a float for him, so he's gonna be playing the piano on the float during the parade
Oh,
and
cool.
everything.
Very cool.
Trying to promote the event and stuff, so we're looking forward to that. As far as the rec department goes, this past weekend, we had the brush rush. The turnout wasn't great. We had about 100 people, but there's just a lot of stuff going on. So we're trying to come up with better ways of promoting it and trying to get more people out here next year. But it was still a fun race, still a good time. During Father's Day weekend, we had the Summer Sizzler, and thought that went pretty well for our youth baseball tournament. This upcoming weekend, we have 16 teams coming in for a girls' fast pitch tournament, and that'll start Friday and go through Sunday. So, and we have teams from Nebraska and Colorado coming in for that. And then we are going to be hosting another coffee and donuts with our active older adults, and that will be on July 12th at 8:30. And I will be getting flyers out to the community. But what we'll do there, we'll offer coffee and donuts in the cafeteria at the high school, and then we'll bring in some sort of speaker. This past, the last meeting we had, it was just more of a kind of a, just kind of an advisory board committee. But the police department had someone speak at it about scams and everything else, and I thought it was excellent. I thought it was exactly what would be good for these coffee and donut meetings that we're going to be putting on. The final thing I'd like to talk about is some vandalism that's been happening at the parks. The last 3 or 4 months, our playground equipment has really gotten vandalized over at Memorial Park and also by the swimming pool there at Memorial Park. We had these little musical things that kids are just tearing them apart and all that sort of thing. And then we have a really nice slide that got hit with a baseball bat or something, and we pretty much had to take it down. So we looked at the costs of trying to fix it, and the slides are so old and everything that it was going to be so much that we think we're better off just taking out the slides, making it safe for the kids for the rest of the apparatus, because there's a lot of stuff there, and then trying to budget next year to replace the whole apparatus, because I think the newest piece of equipment there is probably 10 to 15 years old. It's just been as time has went on, other projects were more important and everything like that, and so our playgrounds have kind of been left to kind of just weather and stuff like that. So it's now it's now time to start getting a plan together to do some replacement of our playgrounds, and so I know the crew's doing the best job they can as far as maintaining what we have, but it is getting old, and we're going to have to come up with different ideas as far as keeping it safe and also keeping it unique for our kids. So that's kind of a bummer, but that's where we're at with the playgrounds right now. So, any questions? All right.
Very good, thank you, Lance. Dale Clark, Director of Public Works. Wow, we've got everybody here tonight.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As per Council's request of the last meeting, I'm here to visit about the Cambridge Street project. And with that, one of the bigger questions was notification of area residents or neighborhood residents as to this particular project, or should I say the lack of notification. Typically, whenever we have a development, zoning change, annexation, special use permit, those are things that require a minimum 300-foot radius that we look to see who all's within those areas. But when it comes to some of these city projects, we don't necessarily have that requirement. And so we discussed this at the community development staff meeting last week, that we would start looking into doing that 300-foot. Realistically, the pond would have been 300 foot away from those residences. However, the spoil where it was being put and redoing the driving range was within 160 feet. And so, given that criteria of a 300-foot notification, we should have said something. But I will take responsibility for that one fully. But we are looking at changing our policies to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. We do get good notification out. Then also, other good news is that our pond did pass its percolation test. Earth Engineering Consultants came out, they did the check on it, and make sure that the water can seep away. This is a state requirement I would say that's been in effect for several years now, because we don't have an adjudicated storage right for that water. We have to make sure that it perks back down into the groundwater and makes it towards the river. And part of that is making sure that it does percolate away within a certain time window, and it passed. And so that's really good. I was a little nervous about finding that clay lens in the bottom of that pond. And so with that now out of the way, we're going to be looking at some final grading so we can get this thing seeded, get the seeding taken care of, hopefully minimize this fugitive dust issue that's been occurring. Again, we don't control the weather. We do look at the weather quite a bit. I can tell you we're going to have winds out of the north at 6 miles per hour tomorrow, early in the morning, and then the next time that they're predicting winds coming out of the north will be on Friday. So we will be looking to make sure that we get out there, get it watered down. That's all we can do until we actually get our final seeding into place. But again, we don't control the weather. When we had this thunderstorm that just kind of rolled over us out of the blue, that was not predicted. You know, we did have guys out there putting water down. So anyway, the thing is that one of the concerns that I've heard from both the citizens as well as staff is where that driving range where we're improving that driving range, and why that is such a steep hill. And so I did visit with the engineers last week and said, okay, what's the story with this? I mean, when you look at it on paper, it doesn't look all that extreme, but once it happens, you're looking at this and it doesn't look good. And so we did get some actual prints for some modification to the final grade, and so we will be bringing that down quite a bit, and so it doesn't look so extreme. Part of the thing that makes it look extreme is the fact that there is that low spot that is right there that's on private property. It's not ours. And so that just had in the past been a collection or a low point where all the water used to run. And so when we start filling in the improvements to the driving range, then it does look extreme. But we're working on that. So we do have some final grades, and I'll be glad to share that with anybody that would like to see it. Another thing that's going to happen is that starting tomorrow, Our contract says that the crew can only work from 7 to 7. However, with these hotter days that we've been getting, those earth movers have been overheating, trying to just even keep up with, the excavation and getting this final grade down. So they asked if they could start earlier this week, so on a limited basis of trial, we'll see about getting out there and get these guys moving, because I want to get the final grades done. I want to get the seating done as soon as possible. And if they have to shut down because their equipment is overheating, then it's just going to delay the project. And so I want to avoid that. So on a limited basis, trial basis this week, the crews are going to start a little earlier so they can get more of that work done when the equipment won't overheat. Typically, I have not heard much in terms of noise from there, and that's the main reason why we limit it to 7 to 7. However, I will be out checking and making sure that it doesn't create a disruptive noise, just in case. But they do want to get some of this work done when it's still cool and they're not having to shut down their operations because of the equipment overheating. Next phase will be the pipe laying, getting that water from Emerson and Cambridge down to this pond. We're anticipating we'll do that pipe laying in July, and as soon as we get some firm dates, we'll get out there, we'll be knocking on doors and putting out hangers and letting people know that this is what we're going to be doing down Cambridge Street. We'll try to minimize the disruption as much as possible, but there will be an inconvenience, I guarantee it, because we are opening up the street and we are putting in big pipe. So this will happen, but we will try to do the best we can to minimize the disruption. But again, I'm looking at the final product, and that is to get rid of that flooding that just constantly and almost every year floods out that intersection. It's a safety hazard, and people are tired of the water in their basement. So we'll be working on that. As soon as we get some dates, I'll be out doing that. But keeping in mind, we want to get across Mill Street and get that paved back before school starts, which is August 13th. So school's starting a little earlier. So we're really having to race the clock to get this put in. With that, I'll take any questions on the Cambridge Street Stormwater Project.
I don't know if he answers already, but have you been in communication with those folks from last meeting at all?
I have been with some, yes. I went out, and I know Mr. Kennedy specifically wanted to be visited with, and I did. And before all was said and done, he was fine with it.
Okay.
He was, it was just lack of understanding what was going on.
Right.
And so I did reach out to him. I have reached out to a couple of others, and at the end of the conversation, they were fine with it.
Thanks, Bill.
But there is going to be some fugitive dust and inconvenience. We don't control the weather, and it's short term. And I just really ask the public's patience, just continued patience, I should say, with this until we can get that permanent seating down and get this fugitive dust thing under control. But right now, the only control measures we have at our disposal is silt fencing and water.
Okay.
So.
And I know the people that live where it floods all the time, they're grateful to see this project happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so, but as with every project that we've done to alleviate stormwater flooding in the city, we've always inconvenienced somebody for a short time, but the end result has always been very much worth it. So, any other questions, comments? Well, if you had come up with some, or do you have a question that comes up or a concern that comes up, our door's always open. You can come in and we can visit about it.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Dale.
The next item up
Sorry.
is, I'm sorry, yeah.
Keep going.
You got 5 minutes, Dale.
Yeah.
I know. I get it. The only other thing we got going is street crews are still out there working on the streets and trying to get them ready for our preservation projects. But this upcoming week, they're going to break off and they're going to start working on our Independence Day celebration preparation work, the brush rodeo with the 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th. And so we're going to be taking a quick break. And that's probably just as well because the heat is brutal out there. And so you get these guys laying down hot asphalt in 102-degree weather. It's hard on them. So this would be a welcome break for them to work on some other projects while that's going on. So, okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Joanne Gusling, Finance.
I just have one quick item. The state of Colorado always offers a recycling rebate each year that you have to apply for. did apply for that in April, and we did receive it. It's always usually around 4,000, which it was again this year, and we got that money in June. So we are once again successful on that rebate.
Very good. Thank you. Miranda Pickard, so quick.
The only thing to talk about tonight is at last meeting, a member of the public asked when we were going to bring mics back up to the dais that amplifies the sound through our speaker system. And so I looked into that, and over the last 30 years, to my knowledge, we have not had mics at the dais for that purpose. We've had gooseneck mics up here that serve the purpose of taking the sound and putting it into our recording or over our broadcast. And we've moved away from those gooseneck mics to what we now have as border mics. They're wireless. We have 3 of them up here at the dais and 1 up at the podium. We also have a wired mic as a backup just in case we have any mic failure at the podium. And these have been working really, really well to amplify the sound, or not amplify, but to put it into our broadcast and our recording. And we have, as an amplification device for anything that, or anyone who needs assistance with their hearing, we have these devices that we just have little throwaway earbuds that you can use. Anyone who doesn't have hearing aids, this works really well. I've tested it myself. I have some hearing issues, and it works really well. However, I talked with a school district who's been working with us on updating our audiovisual and tech, some of the tech equipment here in City Hall or council chambers, and they have said that we can go ahead and try to amplify through our speakers. We're a small room. We're not a big auditorium, so we may still experience some feedback or some echo, but we are willing to give that a try and see what that would cost. And so I just wanted to update on that question from last council meeting. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you for looking into that. Dan Carver, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First of all, I just want to say it was good to see some of you at CML. During that, there was a legislative update, and I'm looking for some feedbacks on Senate Bill 24-131. For those of you that don't waste your time reading every single one of these like I do, it is essentially a prohibition on carrying firearms, whether concealed or not concealed, in sensitive spaces. And they define sensitive spaces as essentially the council, any place that the council meets, the mayor or town administrator's office, municipal courts, and parking lots adjacent to these areas. It's a state law that prohibits that, and there is an exception if the local municipality says, you know what, we don't want to prohibit a person who has a concealed carry permit or whatever from, let's say, just carrying into town hall. Kind of been split on how communities want to do this. I have a couple examples of resolutions that have been drafted to allow carrying of firearms. And I'd obviously want to talk to Chief Flex Center. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but just kind of looking for guidance of if you guys want to just let the state default, or if you want me to look into some exclusions from the state prohibitions.
It might be something we can have a work session on, maybe?
Okay. Yeah, and I apologize for not being there again.
That's okay.
I can get a memo drafted for you guys to kind of review it, so it's a little more clear.
Yeah, if you can draft something and we can discuss it at a work session. And
Okay, I'll work with Miranda to get that on the work session for next meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
That's all
Is
I
that
have.
it? All right. Does anybody have any questions for Dan? Yep. All right, yep, it was good to see you too, Dan.
Thanks.
All right, Monty Torres.
Okay, a few quick items. The first one is we are starting to mentally prepare ourselves for the budget process coming up. We've already had the council advance that we had a month and a half, 2 months ago with the city council to talk about the priorities for the upcoming year. Our city department heads, they have gotten together and they have reviewed the last priorities. They have made some adjustments / recommendations, and Tyler briefly went over part of that with me. We're going to continue with that process, and then we will get a council retreat put together so you guys can finalize the council priorities moving forward for the next couple, 3 years. And prior to that, I know Councilor Tyree had asked about getting some public comments or input. So Tyler has started putting together thoughts about how we would do that, some type of survey, community survey, to get some feedback. And so, for example, swimming pools are coming up, as a topic, because our swimming pool is getting more and more of a challenge to fix up. It's a 1940s model that was remodeled.
1965, that was built into a 1935 pool. So.
Yeah, and so we have to start having those discussions. It's they're very expensive, but you go to all these different meetings, and almost every community has had discussions about improving their swimming pools, just either the maintenance problems that they've had or the structural integrity of the swimming pools failing. So it's something that we need to talk about. But when we do this community survey, we get feedback on all these different topics, and not everything that people say is going to be our priorities. We have to, as a staff and council, kind of look at what we have been doing and what's already in the plans, and then we see what the community's asking for about as well. And a lot of things they might ask about are things we've already been working on too. So we're going to keep working through that process, and hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks start looking at planning a date for that council retreat. Other item is, I just want to talk about structures in town that have caught fire and are still not cleaned up. So right now, the 3 that we have, one's on Circle Drive, one is on Juniper, and then the other one is on Highway 71. First responders do a great job putting out the fires, but then sometimes the owners are not available, they're gone. Not due to the fire, but they don't live there anymore, and it's hard to get them to take down the structure or repair the structure. And then also, in some cases, it's hard to get contractors that can quickly come in and demolish the properties. And then other times, there's the wait for the insurance company and negotiating back and forth with what they're going to pay for as far as the demolition. And so we are watching those. The one in particular that I want to talk about was number 7 Circle Drive. It's been there for a couple, 3 years now, maybe longer. And I talked to City Attorney Dan, and we said we're going to do one more check on when exactly that tax lien is going to come up to be cleared, and we're hoping that the new owner will be ready to clean up that property. We did do some work, and there was at one point the thought of the city getting involved in doing at least a little temporary fixing the outside of it. But after Tyler and some of his staff looked at it, a lot more damage than what we thought, and it was at the time what we thought would be kind of a throwing money away and the risk of us not getting the money back. So we'll see where that one goes, but we're going to do a little more research on that. But we didn't want to take a heavy hand on any of these, but if they start taking too much longer, we're going to have to do more. So, but anyways, that's a quick update on that. Other thing I was going to mention, CML conference went great. And just so that the council is aware, once I come back, we do visit about what takes place at CML, what are the learning points. And so, for instance, today I had the administrative side of city government. We met and talked about some of the learning points that I picked up on, and Chan, our municipal court clerk, what she picked up on that were related to administration. Later this week, I'll get with the rest of the city staff on things that were discussed or things that I learned. And then also, like Tyler was there at CML as well, there's some things that he went to also. Also, we try to look at those agendas, and if there's something very interesting, like how to redevelop mobile home parks. We try to get different parts of the city staff or council members to go to those so that we can understand what other people do in some of those challenging situations. And so we'll get with others that attended on certain topics down the road, but we try to do that relatively quick, because if you wait more than a week or two, you start forgetting those learning points. And so you want to learn as quickly as you can. But anyways, great conference, and I know some of the council members were going to talk about some of the things that they learned. So that's my report.
Very good. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to mayor and council reports. Does anybody want to report on their CML experience?
Sure. I'd be happy to.
Okay. You haven't brought your whole...
I haven't brought it.
Good job.
In case you didn't see it, this is the conference. Those of you that couldn't go. I wanted to mention that the opening session was a very inspiring one. There's a football player for the Broncos, Justin Forsett, and he combined humor with his tale of the greatness grows out of the shadows. And it was very, very well done and held your attention. It was a nice way to start out the conference. What I attended from there, best practices for quasi-judicial decision-making, and that was just a refresher for me, because we've had that before, but I've been off council for 4 years, so I wanted to get refreshed on that. Next was what's new with DOLA, and they talked about the many grants that are available to municipalities, and how do you go about accessing, getting those. So that was very worthwhile as well. Next, I went to preserving the heritage of your community, and this was through incentive programs which are available to building owners, as vacant buildings, as well as municipalities. So there is opportunity out there for, as it said, building owners and as well as community or cities. Recruitment strategies or recruitment struggles, and then it said let's get creative. And I'm an old guy, so hearing this is it's different than when I grew up and how I took to a job and worked a job. You have to be more creative with the younger generation, and they went around and they talked about some of the ways that they have to be more creative, and Monty was sharing some of that information as well, which I believe is very, very helpful. Next, strengthen your community through DOLA regional managers. This was I think there were 4 regional managers that were there, talked about how they want to help the community and municipalities, and we have to reach out to them, and they will be glad to help us get grants and help us solve any issues that we may be struggling with. So, and then just some other things, but that's the basic ones of it too. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank
And
you.
I enjoyed it very much too. So.
Anybody else?
Go for it.
I attended the building consensus for affordable housing in a small town. Central School did make the cut. They had a slideshow that showed Central School, and they talked about it. I think it was case study number 1, actually.
Yeah, it was.
So I think that kind of ties in with Councilmember Lundstrom's desire to probably go and check that out, and hopefully that project comes through. I did attend the revitalizing mobile home park session. That was interesting. It was kind of an angel investor that came in and bought the entire place, and what they did was they had, out of the 110 units, they had 73 that were unoccupied. These predated 1980, so they were asbestos laden, so they got them remediated, and then what they did is they disposed of those into the landfill, and then they brought in new new structures, asphalt paving, lights, worked with the local police department, fire department in getting the streets widened so we can get emergency vehicles in there. But some of those tenants that are still there, they still live in those older mobile homes. So it wasn't a complete, tear down, but it was, they're going at it in phases and replacing what they can. And they've seen a great reduction in crime and stuff like that. So that was interesting. But it did take an outside third party, investor to make that happen.
Is that angel investor? Is that?
Yes. Well, yeah, the angel investor came in and had purchased it. Prior to that, there were several investors that came in and purchased it and didn't make any of the improvements for whatever reason. So, but the city administrator and this investor worked very closely in getting these items taken care of, and it looked really good. They showed some slides at the end, and they worked hand in hand. They gave some, they took some. So interesting. Yep. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was my first one I haven't attended yet, so it was kind of a lot to take in. But I went through numerous sessions. What I learned is some of the sessions that sounded good didn't really apply to the city of Brush, so I kind of learned that the hard way. But I went to one on housing in a small community. It was Ignacio, the town of Ignacio, and that's something that I'd like to talk with everybody about. It's kind of an exciting project they have where the city is actually building the housing. So there, it's city funded. The city buys the modulars, the city owns the land, and then they sell it, later on down the road. So it's kind of a neat way, I thought, of just spurring housing when you can't get developers to come in and do it. But there's some tricks to it and legal hurdles. So, but I think Brush might be kind of a neat place for that, just with some of our special districts. So that might be something that we can talk to them about, because I think they're about the ones that have the hardest time getting housing for employees and that kind of stuff. So neat concept. But yeah, learned a lot. Like Dan said, the general session at the very beginning with Justin was amazing. So very well put together. CML did a great job with that thing. There was people everywhere, so it was cool.
I might piggyback off that. I had a discussion with Greg Edel, our DOLA representative, and he stated there is money there now until about 2026. And he said we are living, high on the hog right now with the money being there, but it's going to run out. So I wonder if we might take that in consideration when we start looking at council priorities and maybe bump housing up. So that it's that we address it and hopefully get grants and help get it paid for. But he did say there's money there for infrastructure and for housing.
Yeah.
So.
I'll save mine till last, but do you guys have anything to share? No? Okay.
For CML?
No, for anything.
Well, the 4th of July parade's coming up. I want to talk about it for a second. It's a fun time, and I'm actually going to be on my 3-year reunion float.
Woohoo!
And I'm bringing that up because the craziest thing happened yesterday. I got an email from Amazon, and apparently there's a huge water cannon being sent to my house. So I'm telling you this because I see any of you. I'm going to show you the business end of this game. It's awesome. It's badass. So there's your fair warning, everybody. That's all I got, Mary.
Fire truck.
He wins.
Yeah.
Mic drop, yeah. That's
I got a garden hose, but it's a little.
I'm going to side the street you live on, so I'll be
I always sit close to the front door because of the fire truck.
Very good. All right, I was at the conference, and it was a really good one. I always say my favorite one is the Mayor's Mingle. It's like a 2-hour roundtable discussion with probably, this time it was 50 or 60 mayors from around the state, and just sit around and chat about issues you have in your community, things that have gone well, things that have not gone well, and I always come out of there appreciating my community and appreciating my council, because yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I have a really good council and we have a really great community, so that's that. And then we talked, I went to one on homelessness and what other communities are have done, mostly bigger cities where they've had to deal with tent cities and stuff. But now in my new nonprofit role, I've learned that a lot of the things that Westminster, for instance, was talking about that they've put into place, it's stuff we've already got in place in Morgan County. I mean, Rising Up and the Morgan County Family Center are doing these things for homeless people. The biggest challenge is having a place to house them. We just don't have the housing for them, so they're, you know, trying to set people up for success and get them back on their feet. And but yeah, it was eye-opening. And there's some cool programs out there. But, like I learned a little about cybersecurity, but yeah, my favorite's always the Mayor's Mingle and learning about what other communities are dealing with. But I can't talk about it because what happens in the Mayor's Mingle stays. It's kind of like Vegas without the alcohol. But yeah. Does anybody else have anything to report? We have one final thing. Paul Jenkins has been our camera technician for 29 years. And we are going to start, we're trying to get everything upgraded, which means we're having to change the way we do some things, and so we're gonna, so Paul is finally retiring after 29 years. Oh, yeah, I'll meet you down front, Paul.
Okay.
Can you?
Yeah.
I'll disable Dan if
Oh,
I
yeah.
use my phone.
Yeah.
Would you mind? Or lock it and I can use
So Paul has tirelessly sat behind that wall and made sure that the community can see and hear what we're doing. And for 29 years, that's a long time to do anything.
Doesn't seem that long.
Right? That's always when we're having fun. But this is a little appreciation from us, and so thank you.
Thank you.
Say hi.
Maybe that.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Paul.
Take care, Paul.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Don't be a stranger.
Try not to be.
Okay. And so, if there's nothing else, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we are adjourned, and there's no work session tonight.
So on the last city council meeting, we're gonna close that.
Thank you, Dan.
Say nay.
For
real loud? Yeah. That's kind of cool. That is cool. There is a big.
Yeah, longer than I thought.
I wonder if she's talked to the